विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Verse 76 तावता कृतकृत्यः सन् नित्यतृप्तिमुपागतः जीवन्मुक्तिमनुप्राप्य प्रारब्धक्षयमीक्षते. So Vidyaranya has entered into a very most important topic of this chapter from verse 74, and that is Nirguna Brahma Jnana Vritti Avritti, that is Nididhyasanam, and Nirguna Brahma Upasana Vritti, Jnana Abhasa Vritti Avritti. Jnana Vritti Avritti, Jnana Abhasa Vritti Avritti. Vritti is Aham Brahmasmi in both the cases. But if for one person, from the perspective of a one person, I am Brahman is Abhasa. I am not Brahman actually. From that for Upasaka, he says, I am an individual, but of course, I will come to know I am Brahman, etc. I will be free in future. I will gain moksha in future. I am right now a seeker. The sort is quite away, etc. etc. From the other student's perspective, I am Brahman is fact. So, well, I am not an individual, I am not a seeker, and moksha, etc. is not a sort. I am free. Right now, I am free. Then why does this avrutti, repeating this thought, aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi? Because ultimately he wants to, percolate this knowledge into his subconscious. Because from subconscious all these vasanas arise, dehatma buddhi, etc. arise. Taking oneself as just body, mind, sense complex, it arises from subconscious. So that's an error. He knows that's an error also. So in order to get rid of this habitual error, in order to get rid of orientation, that's a better word actually. It's called orientation. It's simply orientation. Orientation always takes time to go. And I have told you my own experience. Still it is happening. Yeah. Yes, while going to sit in a car, I always go towards the driver's seat. Because in India it was just reverse. So, right hand I drive, left hand drive, but that tendency is there. That orientation is there. Invariably, the driver, the person, who takes me, he is already in there. Swamiji on the other side. Swamiji on the other side. Swamiji on the other side. Several times I have listened. Several times. So, it's simply orientation. Let's not even use this word habitual error. Orientation. That is the word Puja Swamiji liked. Orientation. We are familiar with this orientation. So, in order to get rid of orientation, this vritti avritti by this person who is doing nididhyasana. That's a vritti avritti is nididhyasana. So Jnanavritti Abhyasa is thus for this getting rid of orientation. So this is the difference between them. And the person who is doing this upasana, well, he takes that I am a seeker only. And well, he says, in order to gain this freedom, in order to gain the sought in the future, well, let me do this upasana, Aham Brahmasmi upasana. And then, well, this being a karma, manasa karma, it generates a punyam, etc. And as a result, well, we have seen already that definitely he gets rid of the obstacles because of which only he has that idea, I am seeker, even after exposure to the knowledge. Teaching. Okay, so that is the said in this verse 74. Kaha visheshaha bodhopastyoho kaha visheshaha kaha bedaha. What is the difference between this Nirguna Brahma Jnanam and Nirguna Brahma Upasana Vritti, etc.? Iti chet, if you ask so, uchyate shruno, may you listen carefully. Bodhaha vastu tantraha. Any knowledge is always keeping in keeping with the object. Your will doesn't come into the play. Look at this apple in my hand. When I say, you feel suddenly something has happened to this Swami. Look at this apple in my hand. And you are looking at this object, of course, and in your mind the knowledge arises, this is a pen. I say, look at this apple. And also I say, look at this green apple. Come on. Look at this green apple. And you want Swami to be right. Therefore you will, understand, you will that let me see it as apple. Let me see it as apple. Green apple, green apple. Nothing happens. Even though you want me to be right, when I say this is a green apple, look at this green apple, you want me to be right, you can't help. Your will doesn't come into play. Purusha's will does not come into it. Therefore, the knowledge is not based on one's own will. Not to Purusha Tantra. Vastu Tantra. It's always in keeping with the object. So, definitely, Bodhaha Vastu Tantra. Jnanam is always in keeping with the object. Whereas this Nirguna Brahma Upasana is Kartru Tantra. Aham Brahma, because he says, I am a seeker. He doesn't have this knowledge. He should say, I am Brahman. Then there is no need of even Upasana also. But well, and even if he needs an even if he needs some kind of meditation, that is Nidhyasana, in order to get rid of that orientation. But anyway, this person is doing Upasana. It's all purely wheel-based. Let me do this vritti avritti. Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. And thereby, he superimposes this Brahmatvam upon himself. This is Ahangara Upasana actually. This is Ahangara Upasana only. Well, he himself takes it as a seeker, Karta Bhokta. On that, he superimposes Akarta Brahman, etc. That's purely will-based. Since it is will-based, Kartur Tantra, therefore the Upasana is called Karma. And that is a karma which is of course prescribed by the Shastra. Therefore it generates punyam. And therefore it will help you to get rid of obstacles from your mind, etc. So, and then the same knowledge will become obstacle free, and you will say, well, I am free. I am no more a seeker, and sought is not away from me, etc., etc. Anyways, this is the verse 74 is a opening statement, pratigna, etc. And that has been explained further from 75 onwards to the 122. So in 75 also we saw vicharat bodha jayate. Bodha, the jnanavritti, well, is born, or jnanam is born by vichara, by self-inquiry, etc. So that is the thing. And yam bodham na nivartayet. And that knowledge will never go. Once the knowledge is generated, it will never go. Even anicca, even if you don't want, but still the knowledge which is born in you will never go. Swautpatti matrat samsare akhila satyatam dahati. And by rise of that knowledge, swa means that bodha utpatti, jnana utpatti matrat, by rise of that very knowledge, samsare akhila satyatam dahati. Akhila satyatam, the samsara, means the creation, so-called creation, and samsara is nothing but an identification with a given name and form is samsara. That's it. When you identified with a one given name and form, automatically duality arises. You identify with this particular form. Well, you take yourself to be very limited in time, place, and attributes, and you take world also different from you, and there will be samsara all the time. Dvaita creates all bhayam also, everything. So, well, definitely everything arises in one's mind due to this identification with name and form. You are basically just consciousness, but if that identification generates the samsara. Samsara means, all the time, basically having a sense of limitation, sense of lack, sense of uneasiness continues in one's life. In between, the moments of joy come. Rest of the time, you may not be positively sorrowful, but a sense of limitation. All the time, you are aware of that you are a limited being. That is dangerous. That all the time, that from there only sorrow arises positively also. But otherwise, you are basically free from sorrow, free from this uneasiness centered on oneself in the moment of joy. That's it. Because there, that time you have I'll be talking, you have an experience of wholeness, which we are seeking in fact. Throughout the life, you are seeking a wholeness. You want to be a whole person, complete person, a Raman person, and therefore perfect person. So basically, you want to be that. So that is not there. People say we don't feel sorrow all the time. But I am also saying you don't feel sorrow all the time. But you are a limited being. That being a self-conscious, that judgment about yourself will never erase. Never erase. Because the identification with one self-conscious leads to self-judgment. But there is a self-ignorance, and therefore self-judgment is nothing but self-error. That judgment is not a right judgment because there is ignorance lying behind. And therefore, what you are aware of as yourself is an error. And that is, in general, I am a limited being. Therefore, feeling a sense of, having a time, you are time bound, etc. Also, everything. Fear of death and this and everything. Fear of old age, everything. Anyway, all will go away. I am just consciousness. I am all the forms, all the names, and frankly speaking, I am free from all the names and forms. I am all the names and forms, I am immanent in all of them, and I transcend also all of them. That's how it is. I am immanent and I am transcendent. That's the thing. That's called knowledge. I am immanent that much is not enough. I transcend all of them. And therefore, Akhila Satyatam, Samsare, Akhila, Anatma Prapancha, all these names and forms, etc., that they are real. If one name and form you identify, then that becomes real for you because you are real. You are Satyam. So, but with identification, this gains Satyam, Satyatam, Atma Buddhi. This is Satyam. I am this, is a reality. Therefore, world also is equally real. He is also another names and forms. They also are real. So, objects are taken to be real. Not understanding, not inquiring properly. Anyway, so this Akhila Satyatam Dahati, Jnanat Dahati. Because of this knowledge, where Sautpatti Matrat, when it rises, the knowledge arises, it basically, all this samsara goes away. Now in that 176, what we read, Tavata Krutya Krutyah San Nityatrupti Upagataha, etc., etc., means one person comes to this Atmanatma. That's a thing ultimately. Atmanatma Viveka initially first stage, and then there is nothing other than Atma. So-called Anatma is Atma. that is that with that it's completely the anatma prapancha is falsified. Then rest of the life is just a joy. Everything is basically luxury later, because you are whole without seeing, without hearing, without thinking, without without inferring, without emoting. You are basically a complete person, and therefore whatever is there now is all luxury. So seeing is a luxury for this person. Hearing is a luxury. Emoting is a luxury. Thinking is a luxury. Deciding something is a luxury. Because he is independent of all of them. Right now, when I see something, I gain completeness. I gain wholeness. I gain happiness. When I hear something, I gain. I have to keep my senses out all the time. They have to contact sense objects. They have to contact. Otherwise, I can't. I feel that I will not be able to survive. Yeah. Whereas for this person, he is independent of everything. He is whole without this. And therefore, everything is a luxury for this person. So, Jivan Mukta has all luxury. All luxury. Even a walk for this person is a luxury. Everything is a luxury. Having a body, mind, sense complex is a luxury for this person. Having a body, mind, sense complex and identifying with that, it's a burden for the Ajnanis. Yeah. So big difference. There is nothing wrong with this. Oh, I should not identify with this. I should not identify with body, mind. As if it has to be thrown. What you want to throw is more real than before, Yeah. It gains more reality. Why do you want to throw? It's a luxury to have this. Anyway, so this Jivan Mukta really enjoys the freedom in spite of this all limited body, mind, sense complex. With limited body, mind, sense complex, well, he does all the vyavara and still he enjoys everything. Anyway, and therefore, well, he doesn't have this relative success, failure, etc. Even if it is there, due to prarabdha, of course, that will be there, but it doesn't make any difference. A relative success doesn't bring a success to him, and a relative failure does not make him fail. He is independent of everything. This is wonderful. This is the Jivan Mukti. Tavata means by falsification of this anatma, prapancha and anatma problems, everything. Kritakritya san, a person has become free from the struggles of life. Nitya truptihi upagataha. Jnani has gained this wholeness. Never say limitlessness. Wholeness. Wholeness is subject-object. That's a wholeness. Subject-object. That subject-object becomes as though one. There is a duality, of course. One, you are a seeker and there is something which is sought. But in a moment of joy, that seeker-sought division resolves. Please understand, subject-object remains. But subject is a seeker, object which is sought, well, that division goes away in a moment of joy, as though they become one in a flame of joy, which we call wholeness. Please understand this. Basically, non-duality or the wholeness is one's experience. Even in a waking state and in a deep sleep state, of course. So you are not a seeker, there is not something sought, you are very much there, but no, not a seeker, not something which is sought other than you. That's in deep sleep state. And the same thing is there in a waking state also. In a moment of joy, you are not a seeker. Whenever you are not a seeker, means there is no sought also. In that, that's a moment of joy. That is why we always say, even to appreciate this vision, one should be free from. See, that's a harmony between this seeker and sought. So, when you start taking the things as they are and don't want to basically change them in your mind, demand. You are not a demanding person. You are non-demanding, appreciative, conscious person with respect to the world. Then definitely you are creating a ground for ultimately for this vision. When you demand something, means you are a seeker. And you want mountains to be different, you want rivers to be different, you want something else. But frankly speaking, in the same world where you are not a seeker and there is not something which is sought, like especially the nature, there the same world you are able to enjoy. You are able to enjoy. Even you are able to enjoy a child also. A child who is lying on its back has no teeth, and we don't know it is seeing that ceiling and laughing, and seeing that child you also laugh. So why should you laugh? Why should you feel so joy? We don't know why it is feeling joy. I mean joy without any much experiences of any sensory experiences. It is also joyful. The child is joyful, and you also seeing that you become joyful. You take the child as it is. Oh, child has no teeth in its mouth, and that's not good. It should have it should have a more teeth, or it should have a teeth. That's it. Seeker sort division. That's it. The joy is no more there. Please understand, there is a child, object, you are a subject. That is there. Yet, well, since that seeker sort division goes away, that's a wholeness. That's a wholeness. Therefore, when division between subject object disappears, even in experiences, there is a joy, and the joy of wholeness. That's how it is. Therefore, nitya trupti. This person has now subject, he knows subject object both emerges from one thing, and that is this whole, the consciousness, limitless consciousness. Well, knowing that, now this Jivan Mukta, well, has still subject object, apparent, everything apparent. Subject is apparent due to prarabdha, identification, general identification with the body, mind, sense complex, subject and the world, object, apparent. He knows the truth of both because of the self-inquiry. And so, same, he also knows that it is whole ultimately. The subject-object division is not a real division. There is no real dvaitam. And therefore, non-duality is not opposed to the duality. Yeah. Non-duality is not an opposed to duality. Even though subject-object remains, yet the division between them goes away. That's called Advaitam. Yeah, please understand this. And that is the most inviting experience for us. And everyone wants to, you are really seeking this wholeness. You want to be the whole person, which you experience in a moment of joy. Anyway. So this is, everyone is seeking Advaitam. Please understand this. Advaitam is a goal of the life. Not Advaitam is a goal of life. Advaitam means you are different, the object is different, etc. You are limited, that is also limited. One limits the other. That's not goal. In fact, we don't like that. That's only creating a sense of limitation. Anyway, so Nitya Truptihi Upagataha. Upagata means he upagachati. Means he has arrived at, he has gained that. Nitya Truptihi, Trupti, which is Nitya Truptihi. Truptihi means Purnatvam. Nitya Truptihi, which is one's nature. Yeah, the wholeness you can never gain as such. Experientially it is there, but I am the whole, I will become whole. I mean, in terms of that one can never be. Therefore, I am whole, well, I should appreciate it. I don't appreciate it because of self-ignorance. That is revealed in experience. Yeah, but you don't have that special knowledge. You are really seeking this knowledge. You don't lack you don't lack an experience of this wholeness. You definitely lack the knowledge of the wholeness. Yeah, that's very true. So, Nitya Truptihi Upagataha. And therefore then, well, ultimately, the body has its own limitation on problems because of the prarabdha, mind also, etc. That is what has been said in that chapter 7. Atmanam chit vijaniyat ayam asmiti purushah kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusanjvaret. So jvara will continue. Body will have all issues. That's called jvara. Jara means any this type of pain. Born of course prarabdha, because this is a product of prarabdha. And therefore, depending upon the prarabdha, sometime it has a health, health, sometime ill health. Or even the mind also has a health, ill health, but certain type of thoughts. Jnani's mind also arises. Please understand this. Don't think that because ultimately Sukshma Sharira also a product of prarabdha. And therefore, basically, because it's generated from Karana, and Karanas from Karana, which is a bank for the Sanchita. Well, a certain lot arises and give rise to Sukshma and Sthula. Anyway, and so Jvara will be there at all the three levels: Sukshma, Sthula, Sukshma, Karana. Karana, of course, being you are not conscious of it because it's unmanifest. So that's fine, but it has its own issues naturally. When it arises, then we know, oh, my Swamiji, I have so many bad karmas. Swamiji, I have very, very ashubha vasanas. So all these things are there. So Karana has also some jvara. They have been described there in the 7th chapter of Pancadasi. We have discussed. Anyway, but anujvara will not be there. Samsara is a anujvara. Body has a problem. Therefore, I have a problem. That's an identification. So that is, anujvara will not be there. Then you enjoy the life. Yeah. So, jvara's falsification, body, mind, sense complex, is basically mithya. False means here it is mithya. And I should not use word false. That's not real true. There is a difference between mithya and false. So I have told you last time. And so jvara basically is false. Prarabdha is false. Body is false. The generated body, etc., is false. It's mithya. And therefore, that is the first thing. And well, I am independent of them. And definitely, therefore, anujvara will not be there because of disidentification. So, prarabdha kshayam ikshate, well, such a jivan mukta, a free person, only expects successful completion of his prarabdha role. He is waiting. He is waiting. Not waiting means he has a suicidal tendency, etc. Oh, when will it go? When will it go? Nothing. He is just enjoying the life with whatever is there. Every day is a luxury for this person. Every day, whatever he sees, whatever he hears, whatever he talks, it doesn't add anything in his wholeness. It doesn't subtract anything from his wholeness. Whole being whole. Anyway, and therefore, well, ikshate means he waits, he expects a successful completion of prarabdha. Could be grihastha. Then, well, depending upon prarabdha, he may be having certain duties. He may not do. Or he may do. He may do, like a Raja, King, Janaka, etc. They continue. This is the freedom. This is the freedom where nothing restricts you. Whether you do or whether you don't do. Nothing restricts you. Neither Shastra puts any restriction on you. Neither he himself has any restriction or family can restrict him. If he feels like he is doing. If he doesn't feel like, he doesn't do. That's how it is. This is prarabdha vasana. We have discussed this. So this is a non-binding. Whatever he is doing is non-binding. His whole, after gaining jnanam, his role or his rest of the life is a non-binding life. No bondage, no restriction. Shastra has lifted all restrictions from the jnani. Shastra says very clearly that he is not affected by punya, papa, etc. Means he is not affected by our vidhi nisheda. He is beyond vidhi nisheda. Nistre gunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhi ko nisheda. Nistre gunye pathi vicharatam. He is dwelling on this path of nirguna, nistraigunye, traigunya. Entire world is traigunya, traigunya vishaya vedaha, etc., etc. So all this is born of Triguna. Atma, which is basically the Adhishthanam of this Triguna, Maya, etc., and the Jagat, which is free from all the gunas. One who is dwelling on that Nirgunam, ko vidhi ko nisheda. There is no vidhi, no nisheda, no punya papa, everything. This is freedom. I'm just giving you this. We say free person, but what is the freedom? You can imagine when the person who is a samsari and he is under having all this burden of duties, this, that, etc. Really speaking, burden is not of the duty, burden is of the doership. Yeah, please understand. Duty is not a burden. Jnanis are working 18 hours, 19 hours. You and me have seen them. And at least we know from the history that Shankaracharya or anybody, we just take example of Shankaracharya. Many have gone in 1200 years. And most of the acharyas have worked relentlessly, tremendous work. So something we are doing, therefore you get tired and you feel burdened because a lot of things you are doing. No, not at all. Burden is a doership. Doership is a burden. If that is not there, in fact, you are very efficient to do a lot of things. The doership is really a issue because that's not reality. That's how I say it's an obstacle. It's an obstacle. Taking oneself as the doer is a kritrima. It's an artificial thing. It is not a reality in this. I am just free from doership. In my presence, as senses do, body does, etc., organ of action does, prana does, mind does, mind imagines or thinks or emotes or remembers, all in my presence, manaso manaha, vachoha vacham, etc. If that clarity is there, well, you are free from any doership. All the actions are done, and for that there is subject is required, and therefore that is ahankara, ego is there, but I am the very substratum of this ego. I am the very, not substratum, I don't like this word. I am the very basis of this ego, really speaking. This ahankara, etc. The aipatatyaham, nija vicharanam. Ramana Maharshi said in Upadesaram, when you look into this ahankara, the ahankara falls. The ahankara is mithya. Of course, everything is done at the level of mind, senses, organs of action, prana, then there should be some subject who owns up the activity. And therefore, this is Ishvara's arrangement that, ahankara is there, which is nothing but a conscious mind, which owns up everything. Subject is required. When if actions are there, activity is there, then some subject is required. Who owns up that activity? That's ahankara. But I am not. I am the very basis of this ahankara, truth of the ahankara, etc. Ahankara is mithya, mind is mithya, and therefore ahankara also is mithya. Senses are mithya, everything, and therefore the seer, knower, hearer, all is mithya. Anyway, so this is the knowledge, because of which, he is free. Even if he plays a role due to prarabdha, etc., is a non-binding roles. For other people, every role is a real role, but not from his own standpoint. Still, they follow dharma, etc. Jnanis, they are beyond dharma, etc. Right? But still, they follow dharma. In fact, that's a tendency they have developed. That's a habit. That's how they have regained a say over ragadvesha. You can keep your ragadvesha under control only by way of living a righteous life. Yeah, there is no other way. So you exercise your free will based on righteousness, what is universally right, wrong, etc. And that's how they led themselves in a karma yoga, etc. And therefore they gained adhikaritvam, and then they gained knowledge, etc. And therefore now automatically it's their second nature to do dharma, and it is really good. That's how Bhagavan said in the 3rd chapter, Yadyada charati shreshtha tattadeve tattarojana. And therefore, whatever is done by these people, they become a role model, maybe in the family or maybe in the society. The others also will follow. And therefore, for that purpose also, well, they keep doing the things what they are doing. Yeah, I'm coming. Oh, I'm coming in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay, okay. Yes. Ah, okay, thank you. Okay, verse 77 now. आप्तोपदेशं विश्वस्य श्रद्धालुरविचारयन् चिन्तयेत् प्रत्यरैरन्यैः अनन्तरितवृत्तिभिः. So now in the last two shlokas, 75, 76, he talked about this jnani. Well, for whom this is a reality, he is a free person. Now he contrasts upasaka, that Nirguna Brahma upasaka, from this jnani. So he will talk now about the upasaka. And for him, well, definitely, he is not saying I am free person or I have a freedom, I am free person and nothing, I am Brahman, etc. He takes himself to be a seeker. And so, such a seeker, well, definitely, doing this kind of upasana is superimposing the Brahman upon himself, means taking oneself as a Brahman, remaining oneself as a seeker, taking oneself as a Brahman, that I am Brahman, aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi, etc. So, avichara, it says here, Shraddha aptopadesham vishwasya shraddhaluhu avicharayan. He is a shraddhalu, naturally. That is how, because he is a shraddha, faith. Therefore, this devotion, etc., is really a word which really does not give clarity, honestly. Devotion, etc. But yeah, if one really wants to translate devotion or wants to define devotion, I would say it is Shraddha. Purely that is the Shraddha, faith, etc. is not a proper translation, but Shraddha in the teaching and the teacher. In fact, really speaking, teacher and teacher are not two things. When teacher teaches, for a student, what is there is just teaching. Please understand. Not you relate to the teaching. In a class, you really don't relate to the teacher. So teacher teaching looks two things, but really speaking, you relate only to the teaching. And for that you have a Shraddha. Guru Shastropa Guru Shastra Vakyeshu Vishwasaha Shraddha. So you have a trust, basically. Trust in the validity. Shastra is valid, and the teacher who talks about the Shastra, who talks about this teaching, the teacher also, his statements are also, or her statements are valid. That's it. If you want to say what devotion towards Shastra, devotion towards a teacher, this is devotion. That's it. Nothing else. Anyway, so this aptopadesham vishwasya, aptopadesham. Here apta means a teacher. Upadesham, the teaching. So you basically vishwasya, trusting, acknowledging the validity. That's it. Vishwasya means acknowledging the validity of the statements of the Shastra and the teacher who talks Shastra, because basically they are the mirror. Yeah. The Shastra and the Vakya of the teacher are like mirrors in which you are going to see yourself. That's it. And therefore, when you see yourself, definitely, why such a Vishwasa is required? Because you already have a wrong notions about yourself. And therefore, what Shastra says about you, what Shastra shows you about, yourself, is entirely different than what you take yourself to be. And therefore, definitely you need this attitude of acknowledgement of validity. And that is So Shraddhaluhu, this person, a faithful student, he needs, for a person who has gained knowledge, I am Brahman, there is no need of Shraddha in a teacher's statement, because already through Shraddha only he gained it, knowledge. Shraddhavan labate jnana. So he gained knowledge. Why I say it is important? Because in a course of time, unfortunately, in a course of time, it happens in association of a teacher-student relationship. Students also sometimes develops this attitude of criticizing, of doubting the teachers. That just happens. That's how we generally do sahana bhavatu, sahana bhunaktu, etc., etc. We do it, and mavid visha vahai, etc. May not we not develop a dvesha, a doubt, some kind of a suspicion towards each other, like that. So teacher student both pray, but teacher has already perhaps gained knowledge, and therefore it is not going to affect him much. But student, well, definitely, well, loses such trust, then when there is a question of a now validity of the statements of the teacher. And in that case, well, I will keep aside the teacher and go to the Shastra, but Shastra does not speak to you directly like that. Teacher, that Shastra actually speaks to the teacher, you know very well. So therefore, this is very important. That's how here they have not used the word sadhaka, etc. Shraddhaluhu. That's it. Vidyaranya says the one who is having a trust in the validity of the statements of the Shastra and the teacher, both, definitely gains the knowledge. And for such a person, ultimately, now there is no need of saying that he has a Shraddha in the teacher and the Shastra, etc. So his case is over. But this is Upasaka who has not gained knowledge that I am Brahman, etc. It is not a reality fact for this person. Well, for this person, definitely, he does this Aham Brahmasmi Vritti Avritti, etc. Well, basically based on Shastra again. And there also he has that Shraddha. So, Aptopadesham Vishwasya Shraddhaluhu. Well, this Anyahi Pratyehi Anantarita Vrittibihi. So, well, he continues flow of this Vedantic thoughts, etc. And so, means he should practice this Nirgun Brahma Upasana, etc. Anantarita Vrittibihi Anyahi Pratyehi. Anantarita Vritti, Antarita means a distraction. Anantarita Vrittibihi, not distracted by what? Anyahi Pratyehi, other than this Upasana Vritti or Vedantic thought as such, that Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham. So not distracted by any other types of thought other than this Aham Brahmasmi, etc. And I'm going to discuss few more technical things in this, why this is so much essential, why it is said like that, exclusively with this thought, Aham Brahmasmi, why it is required. I'm going to discuss also while I discuss verse 78, etc. So anyway, I mean this kind of a Jnana Abhasa Vritti for this person. It's not a Jnana Vritti. Jnana Vritti also a repetition means definitely that is for removing orientation in Nidhyasanam. That's one thing. But we are talking about Upasaka right now. We has a Jnana Abhasa Vritti, Aham Brahmasmi. That is Abhasa for this person. It is not a reality for this person. And he does this Avritti, Upasana. Well, and he should continue. Anantarita Vrittibihi Anyahi Pratyehi. He should not encourage other types of thoughts. Means he should continuously do this Upasana. Perhaps even at the cost of a self-inquiry. Even at the cost of self-inquiry right now, because the obstacles are such where even he has done self-inquiry, exposes himself to the teaching and teacher, but he has not gained knowledge. Well, then the obstacles are too much. Well, then he gives a priority of this in order to get rid of these obstacles. And so chintayet means he will do this upasana. Here chintanam means not inquiry, etc. Chintayet means this person should continue practice this upasana without being distracted, without getting distracted by other thoughts other than this Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. This is a Nirguna Brahma Upasana. Upasana, he should, this kind of thing he should do. Then what will happen is said in verse number 78, which I am going to discuss in the next class because there is a puja right now. So I have to go. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.